Well, when we call it a disorder, it just means it's something I got stuck in and keep practicing. And then we put a label on it from medicine calling it a disorder. But what we're not really seeing is a real source and a real problem then. Because what we need to be seeing is what's creating my stress, what's pushing the button that causes me to feel stressed. And then we just see what the effects of it are. Well, they affect me in so many ways, affect our lives when we're feeling stress. Even the New England Journal of Medicine reported in the late 80s that stress contributed to 80 to 90% of all of our physical symptoms. Well, the School of Medicine doesn't focus on that because you can't sell drugs. And drugs create more illnesses called side effects. And so they don't really get to the cause of the problem, they temporarily fix the symptom. But we need to get to the cause of our stress. And our stress is partially caused by so much that's going on in the world right now, whether it's the economy, whether it's the coronavirus, whether it's people getting sick more often, working from home, being isolated from people, and on it goes. The people are stressed by that. Sometimes other people are stressed being at home with their kids all the time when they were normally at school before. And so there are a lot of things that create the stress. Now, part of that is how it relates to what stress they had when they were kids. Because we all think we're seeing an objective reality and reacting to it. But now in the new science of quantum physics, we know that's not so. We're all giving our interpretation and meaning to every single thing we see. That's why 3 people or 5 people can witness the same thing and give different meanings to it. Why? Because it's what got programmed in their original families. And then we see the world through our original programming. And we give our interpretation or meaning to it that we gave to it when we were a little kid. And so, in order to deal with that stress, we need to get to the cause of it and to have the real success in dealing with it. Now, there are tools we can use that can help, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. But on the other hand, to get to the real cause of it, it was something that was probably programmed when we were little kids, or maybe even in grammar school, or it could even be a little later. The way mom was, the way dad was, the way they reacted to us, affirmed us or criticized us, the way they were affectionate or pulled away and isolated us, all of those things got programmed in. So we see the world through those tinted eyeglasses. And so we'll interpret these dangerous things that are going on in the world these days, our economy falling apart, on the edge of wars, like what's happening between, over in the Far East, and what implications that might end up being for us here. All of those kind of things we react to. If we can deal with the original cause of it, that helps us deal with the present stress. Because there are tools now we can use that deactivate that old programming of the way mom treated me, or criticized me, or judged me, or didn't support me, or was abandoning, or wasn't affectionate, or so on. Or dad was that way, or was absent to us. Well, if we can clear out those effects and use the tools that are now available to deactivate those, and the ones that are most available for that, hypnosis a little bit, but the thought field therapy is another one that came about, or eye movement desensitization, EMDR was another one, the eye movement exercise. All of those are kind of tools that we can use to deactivate those early childhood traumas. And if I deactivate them, then I'm less likely to be reactive to them now, because I'm not pushing the old button with each time one happens. So in order to deal with that stress, yes, it's important. We'll talk just a moment about tools we can use now. But these tools that we can deactivate those programmings from the past, it's like on our computers. If we don't like the way our computer is functioning, we learn from the brain what to do. You press the delete button on it, and then you install a new program. Well, we now know we do the same thing with our brains. But most people don't recognize that. And now with my brain, I can deactivate the old programming I had, and I can install a new program that brings in the positive side of things, then I can be free of the stress. And then if I'm free of the stress, I'm less likely to have physical symptoms. If I'm free of the stress, I'm less likely to have battles with my spouse or my children or co-workers or whoever, because I don't see a purely objective world, and everybody thinks they do. But we're seeing the world through our own interpretation of the past, and that's what's disturbing me. That's what's causing me to react emotionally. It's what causes me to get angry or judge them or criticize them. And of course, if I do that, I think I'm helping, and all I'm doing is causing conflict. Because if I'm arguing with somebody or making them wrong, they just get defensive. Whereas if I can see, if they're coming from a negative place, there's just, people are all coming from one of two places, essentially. Either they're being love or they're appealing for love. And we don't see people that way. We blame them instead. But if we can see that if they're not being loving, they're appealing for it. And if I mind, I can just think loving thoughts for them, healing thoughts, supportive thoughts, caring thoughts. We now know that no single thought we have is private. In quantum physics, every thought is emanated out to the world and affects everybody around us. Affects other animals, affects plants, makes them thrive, even a strain in a petri dish, our water molecules. Our thoughts affect all of those aspects of our physical reality, but we don't think of it that way. But we can change our way of handling those kind of stresses so they don't have to go into our body. We don't have to blame it on somebody else and make them wrong, which only causes more of a problem. It doesn't solve the problem, it just makes it worse. And if bosses are that way toward employees, they think they're helping them, but they're making them be less efficient, less motivated, less helpful in being caring parents, less helpful in an intimate relationship. So we need to deal with what's happening inside myself and where it came from first. And if I can learn to identify what those are and deactivate that old programming, then I can be very different now, and I can create a different world for myself now. Certainly, if you'd like to learn more about these methods or these tools or the combinations of them and how they work, I'll be glad to talk with you about it. You could contact me by phone or by email, or you could call me and we could make an appointment or two, and we could discuss it more in relation to your area, your issues, your problem areas, and what would be effective for you to do together. So I'll be happy to explore those things with you. I have people who want to come in person can see me in New York City or in Westport, Connecticut. Others may prefer to have session by Zoom or telephone or FaceTime or things like that. So that's possible too, especially during this coronavirus situation. So whatever works for you is I'm open to explore with you. But I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have about what this therapy is like.